It was one of those gray afternoons when life seemed to hold its breath, the kind that felt heavy with unspoken pain. Rain pattered softly against the window of the small coffee shop in Seattle, where Lily sat alone, tracing her finger along the rim of her mug. She wasn't waiting for anyone. Not anymore. She had stopped waiting long ago, for love, for forgiveness, for herself to somehow feel whole again. But fate, cruel and beautiful as it always was, had other plans that day. Lily had been through more storms than most could imagine. 2 years ago, she had survived a car accident that took her fiancé and left her with scars that told a story she wished she could forget. Not all scars were visible. Some were carved deep within, in the spaces between guilt, grief, and the mirror that whispered, "You'll never be enough again." She had heard those words, not just from the world, but from the man she had once loved. "You're too damaged," he had said before walking out on her. And maybe he was right. Maybe she was. But destiny often disguises redemption in the form of strangers. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the beauty of healing, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel for more stories that touch the heart. Now let's return to Lily's story, the story of a woman the world called broken, and the man who saw her as beautifully unbreakable. That afternoon, as Lily sat by the window, lost in her thoughts, a little boy ran past her table, spilling his hot chocolate, nearly tripping, but catching himself with a laugh that echoed through the quiet cafe. Behind him came a man, tall and calm, his expression somewhere between exhaustion and affection. "Ethan," he said gently, "slow down, buddy." The little boy grinned, his blue eyes shining. "Sorry, Dad." Lily smiled faintly. The boy reminded her of sunshine after rain, a small spark of warmth she hadn't felt in a long time. The father, rugged, handsome in that quiet way life-worn people are, apologized to her as he wiped the spill. "I'm so sorry about that," he said, his voice warm, sincere. "He gets a bit excited when there's whipped cream involved." She chuckled softly, shaking her head. "It's okay. I could use some excitement." He smiled just a little, and for a second, she caught something in his eyes. Recognition, not of her face, but of her pain. It was the look of someone who had walked through fire and come out carrying ashes and hope in the same hand. His name was Jack Anderson, a single father. Widowed 3 years ago after losing his wife, Mia, to cancer. He had raised Ethan alone since then, balancing work as a mechanic by day and bedtime stories by night. Life had carved its marks on him too, in the tired lines around his eyes and the cautious way he spoke, as if afraid the wrong word could shatter someone's fragile peace. That rainy afternoon turned into conversation, then a friendship, then something Lily didn't expect: belonging. Weeks passed, and Lily found herself spending more time at the cafe. Jack and Ethan became a quiet constant in her life. They'd sit together, sharing muffins and laughter. Ethan would draw stick figures. "That's you, Miss Lily," he'd say proudly, handing her a drawing with hearts and a big smile. She laughed every time, but inside a warmth began to grow. A strange, unfamiliar comfort that scared her as much as it healed her. She hadn't believed in new beginnings, not after everything. One evening, as autumn leaves danced down the streets, Jack asked her if she'd join them for dinner. She hesitated, but Ethan's hopeful eyes melted her resistance. "Please, Miss Lily. Dad makes the best spaghetti ever." She agreed. At Jack's small home, the walls were lined with family photos. His late wife, Ethan as a baby, and the life they had once lived. Lily noticed how gently Jack handled the framed memories, how he never avoided them, but carried them like blessings. It struck her. He wasn't running from the past. He had learned to live with it, something she hadn't yet figured out. Over dinner, laughter filled the room like light breaking through old dust. For the first time in years, Lily felt human again. Not pitied, not broken, just seen. But healing isn't a straight line. It's a battlefield between who you were and who you're becoming. A few days later, someone from Lily's past appeared. His name was Aaron, the ex-fiancé who had once loved her, but left her after the accident. He saw her outside the cafe with Jack and Ethan, laughing freely, her scars visible under the sunlight. He walked up, smirking in that familiar, cruel way. "Didn't expect to see you out here," he said. "Guess you found someone who doesn't mind damaged goods." Lily froze, every word slicing into her like glass. Jack turned, eyes narrowing slightly but voice calm. "Excuse me?" Aaron looked him up and down. "You must be new." "Just thought you should know what you're getting into. She's—" Jack cut him off, his voice low, steady, but strong enough to silence the street around them. "She's beautifully unbreakable," he said. "And you? You're the reason she had to learn to be." Aaron stared, stunned, before walking away. But Lily couldn't move. The words, the pain, the past, it all came rushing back. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "You shouldn't have said that." Jack turned to her gently. "I meant every word. You're not broken, Lily. You're surviving. That's the most beautiful thing anyone can be." In that moment, under the fading light of evening, something inside her cracked. Not from pain this time, but from release. Days turned into weeks, and Lily began to find pieces of herself again. She joined Jack and Ethan on hikes, helped with school projects, and even started painting. Something she hadn't done since before the accident. Every brushstroke was a step back toward herself. Still, there were nights when she'd wake up shaking, haunted by the crash, by memories she couldn't erase. One night, Jack found her sitting on the porch, tears tracing silent paths down her cheeks. Without a word, he wrapped a blanket around her and sat beside her. "You know," he said quietly, "after Mia died, I thought I'd never feel joy again. I tried to be strong for Ethan, but inside I was just empty." Then one night he looked at me and said, "Dad, if Mommy's in the stars, then maybe she's shining so we can find our way again." That's when I realized, the people we lose, the pain we carry, it's not meant to bury us. It's meant to shape us. Lily looked at him, her voice breaking. "But what if the shape hurts too much to live with?" He smiled softly. "Then we learn to see beauty in the cracks." As winter came, the three of them grew closer. An unspoken family formed not by blood, but by understanding. Ethan called her Miss Lily still, but sometimes slipped and said Mommy by accident. The first time it happened, Lily froze, tears welling in her eyes. She thought Jack would correct him, but he just smiled sadly and said, "It's okay, buddy." Mommy would like her. Lily realized then that love doesn't always replace what's lost. Sometimes it simply adds light where darkness once was. Months later, Jack surprised her by bringing her to the art gallery downtown. "You're ready," he said. On the wall hung one of her paintings, a woman standing in the rain, scarred but glowing, holding a child's hand under an umbrella. The title read, "Beautifully Unbreakable." As people stopped to admire it, Lily felt something she hadn't felt in years. Pride, not because her pain was gone, but because it had become something beautiful. Jack stood beside her, his hand finding hers. "You once told me you were afraid of being seen," he whispered. "Now look at you. You're shining." She turned to him, eyes glistening. "You're the one who helped me believe I could." He smiled, that quiet, humble smile she loved. "No, Lily. You did that yourself. If this story has touched your heart, if you believe that broken things can still be beautiful, that love can heal even the deepest scars, please like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to be reminded that hope still exists. And before you go, please comment below. She's not broken. She's beautifully unbreakable. As the evening lights dimmed in the gallery, Lily stood before her painting one last time. The reflection staring back at her wasn't the same woman who once sat alone in a cafe, afraid to be seen. It was someone stronger, shaped by loss, healed by kindness, and reborn through love. Behind her, Ethan tugged at her sleeve. "Miss Lily," he said softly, "Dad says stars shine because they have cracks inside them. Does that mean we're shining too?" She smiled, kneeling to his level. "Yes, sweetheart. were shining the brightest. Jack watched them quietly, eyes warm with a peace he hadn't felt in years. The world outside still rained, but inside that room, inside their hearts, it finally felt like sunlight. Because sometimes the most beautiful people aren't the ones who've never been broken. They're the ones who chose to stand, to heal, and to love again, no matter how many times life tried to shatter them. And Lily, she was never too damaged. She was beautifully unbreakable.